What's your overview of the various elements that Mayfield brings to the huddle on the field?
Well, it's hard to see everything here because we're not in pads, but you can certainly see the competitive spirit. He likes having fun. It's the best way I can put it is he likes to have fun, but he's not a clown. I think people misconstrue how much fun he likes to have playing the game and around people. But I'm telling you, when you're in the meetings and you're out here, he wants to be coached. He wants to be great. He's a serious guy when it comes to the game of football.
In terms of the skill set, what do you see there?
Tremendous arm talent, and really has a unique knack once he gets outside the pocket to see receivers down the field and throw it accurately.
Todd, your quarterbacks in Tampa Bay last year were aggressive. It's no secret Baker Mayfield's pretty aggressive quarterback too. Going into year two, how do you find that sort of balance between aggression and taking what the defense is giving him week to week?
Well, it's part of it. I think you can always have shots down the field where if your quarterback is, if he's dialed in enough, then he knows you have shots built in, but you can always check the ball down. So I think that's part of it, is being aggressive, trying to be able to get explosive plays. That's how you win, is being explosive and don't turn it over. Unfortunately, we didn't do the latter last year.
How have any of these young receivers jumped out at you during these OTAs?
Oh, I don't know. Well, the one thing that I know is they're getting lots of opportunities. That's the one thing for sure with just some guys being out. So, I think Rats look pretty good. Derek got banged up a little bit, but I think most of the guys that have shown up are the guys that were here last year, that were at the bottom end of the roster, that have had an opportunity to make plays.
What kind of work that you want to get in when you haven't had the continuity of having all your mostly receivers out there for these sessions?
Well, it's part of it. So you do what you can. I think the most important part is we have a vast majority of our guys here. So in terms of your installs, what we're doing offensively, our calls, our adjustments, the receiver-wise, it's obviously a challenge for our quarterbacks in terms of the receiving core that are out there, but that's part of the deal. It's their job to make them right.
This isn't necessarily a question for today because not everybody's here, but when you assess your side of the ball and the talent there, how inspiring to you is the talent level that you have on this roster?
Well, it's exciting, and like I said, some of them aren't out there, but we'll be talented enough. It won't be about talent.
Hey, Todd, how do you feel about the evolution of pass interference? This week, the league talked about just taking officials out of it on the 2-minute reviews before the half of the end of the game.
Oh, I have no idea. They're not asking me, so I don't really know. I mean, I don't have the right answer as to the pass interference call. It's a shame, but that happens throughout a game. I don't know why it's such a big deal. It happens in all sports where you have calls, you have missed calls, you have judgment issues. So if they go to where everything's reviewable, then fine. I think that's fine. If they don't, then they don't. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's plenty of calls throughout the game that don't go your way, and so I really don't know.
Another question about Mayfield. Now that you've gotten to see a quarterback his height slightly under 6'1", how does that shape the dynamics of what you're doing with a quarterback that size?
Well, I haven't seen any restrictions right now. You'd have to ask him. I mean, I really don't know what it is in terms of that restriction. We haven't gotten into that yet. There isn't one time I've heard him say, hey, I really wasn't able to see, or hey, can we do a little bit more of that? So I may have more information on that. You'll either have to ask him, or it may be down the road when I'll know.
You have much experience coaching a quarterback in that size range?
Yes, but it was a little bit different. I mean, it was, we had Nick Mullins at Southern Miss, but it's a little different in college. Now, we had some big guys up front, and Nick's not an excuse maker, just like Baker is. So, they don't make excuses. So I don't see that being an issue.
Going back to constructing the offense, do you know in your head what it's going to look like when you get to week one?
I think we have an idea because we're doing the install. We're on install 5, so we go through 8 installs. So I would think that, through 8 installs, you'll have an idea. We've already discussed pretty much which will be the base of the offense, because you have to practice it. And then after that, there's stuff week to week that you may do. But I would say that the majority of it, we'd already gone through a number of it in phase 2. So right now by the middle of next week, we'll have most everything installed. Now it's a matter of refining it and doing it better than they do it. That's really what it comes down to.
So when you're constructing the playbook, did you start with the one
yours, or did you start with the one that the Browns had last year?
Well, it's a combination of it because the one that they had last year was Todd Haley's. So you're talking about Freddie's background being that of Arizona, my background being not only Tampa, and Freddie's got a vast background. I'm not just saying that, but just thoughts that at one point, if he ever did it, this is what I want to do. And same with us, and same with the other coaches and where they've been, and Coach Campen at Green Bay. So it's a combination of things with everything you do, from starting from how you huddle, how you call it, snap count, to moving on to making it ours. I promise you, next off season will be a lot easier.
So with all this install going on, are you personally in contact with Odell throughout the
No.
installation at all?
No.
How difficult is it for players that aren't here for a new system with all the installs? How hard is it for them to get acclimated once they are here?
Oh, I hope it's not.
In terms of getting to know Freddie and his system and his personality and how you guys are going to go ahead with your relationship, what are some of the elements that have gone into getting to know Freddie and getting to know each other's systems?
Well, first, he was a big reason why I wanted to come. You know, when I interviewed, not only Baker being here in the young roster, but I really felt like we meshed as offensive philosophy and then how we're both wired. So in terms of, we coach for the players. I mean, that's why we have a job for our players, and I think Freddie believes that. And I always want to coach for someone that recognizes we have a job for our players and putting the players first. So, and it's been good so far, and I don't anticipate that to be different. My job is to do whatever Freddie asks me. That's the job of any assistant coach. Is to everybody asks what's your role. Your role is exactly what the head coach asks you to do. I don't care what role you have on this field. It can be from one of the managers to one of the equipment managers to one of the trainers to the coaches. Whatever the head coach asks you to do, you do.
My follow in that tack was in terms of voices in Mayfield's head. You guys, of course, nobody wants to have too many voices in somebody's ear. But is that something you talk through, or just kind of feel your way through giving him the right amount of input?
I think it's all the above. I think you've always got potentially a head coach, a coordinator, and a position coach that are going to be in his ear that will talk about some things. I try not to, I try to listen as much as anything. I think Ryan Lindley does a tremendous job in there. I'm in there every day with the quarterbacks, and I think he's on point. And so I only make comments when I feel necessary, and Freddie's in there at times. And so at this point, we're building what we want the offense to be, and we'll go from there.
Todd, word came out this morning, I guess the league is going to ban things like the Oklahoma drill, King of the Hill, and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that? How big of a deal is it? How many teams even still do that?
I don't know what they're banning, but those two drills I don't see much of anymore. You just don't see much of the, toughness drill, line up a guy in front of each other, and, so I really don't know. And again, most of the things that occur in this league, they've never asked me. So in the end, it's whatever it is that they do, then we coach it, and it's for everybody. So that's the best thing. Is it's not like our ownership group is saying, hey, you can't do Oklahoma drill. If we can't do it, then nobody can do it. It's the way it is.
How much
Todd,
of your
it's been-
thumbprint is on this offense, or will be on this offense?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, do I think all of our coaches on offense, their thumbprints on it? I mean, I would hope so. I would hope that all of our coaches feel free to have had input, and they have. There's been different pieces of what we've done that everybody has added from the start or has tweaked as we go along, and that's a good sign where you have a number of guys that can have input into what you do on a weekly basis. I think it builds a better staff when everybody has a piece of it as opposed to, hey, here's what we're doing, and you lay it out for somebody. So that's what I liked about when I met Freddie.
With that, how much different will this offense look than the last 8 games last year?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to say because we haven't gotten to that point yet. We're just installing, and we aren't really game planning yet. And in the end, that's really on Freddie, because in the end, everybody has ideas, but someone has to make the decision, right? I mean, there's a lot of idea guys. I'll be one of them. We have ideas of what we want to be able to run and what we like against a certain opponent, but then eventually the guy that calls it or the head coach or the coordinator has to make that decision. So at this point, it's hard to say. But obviously, I think what they did last year, and it's part of why I wanted to be a part of it. So,
Todd, is there something that's been maybe a pleasant surprise for you coming here?
pleasant surprise. I don't know. Certainly not the weather. So outside of that, it wasn't that for sure. I don't think I have a pleasant
I was
surprise
just
yet.
thinking maybe in terms of making adjustment to a new group or whatever. You
Yeah, I
mentioned
don't
his
know.
coaches
This
are
is,
all over the place.
I mean, this is the honeymoon stage. I mean,
Okay.
it's, it never gets any better than this, right? I mean,
Okay.
it's, you take over a new program, you're the new person. I mean, everything's better, everything's great. Never gets better than the honeymoon stage. It's the same in Tampa. It was our fault in Tampa, so that's the honeymoon stage there. It's the way this business works.
What do you like about this job so far?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that I'm employed. I mean, that Freddie thought enough of me to hire me, so that's a big part of it. I mean, you're out of work wondering where the hell you're going to coach at. So, but there's a lot of things. There's a lot of positives moving forward. That's why I wanted to be here. It's hard to explain them all, and so now it's about doing it better than they do it and finding a way to win. So.
With having some experience in the area and having some college experience in the area, is that something that you are really eager to incorporate into this offense and to see a big opportunity to use it?
Oh, the air raid uses very similar concepts that everybody uses. It's really kind of more of a philosophy of being simple and doing it better than they do it. And so that's a big part of it, repetition. So I think there is something to that, but I don't think that from an air raid philosophy standpoint, I mean, do I think he likes to go fast and play in the no huddle and be in shotgun? Yes. Do I like that? Yes. Will that transfer over? I don't. We're not there yet.
What are your early impressions of Nick Chubb?
Again, hard to say. I really like Nick. We brought Nick in for one of our 30 visits in Tampa. We really liked him there. So I think he's a powerful downhill back, one cut guy that you see on tape. But right now it's hard to evaluate Nick or appreciate Nick in shorts. He's one of those guys you got to appreciate in pads.
Is John Dorsey or anybody in the front office asked you about Joe McCoy?
They've asked me about Gerald, yes.
What'd you say?
What'd you say? I'll keep that to myself. I think a lot of Gerald. Okay, I just said I'd keep it to myself, then I said something about Gerald. So I think a lot of Gerald. Gerald, has had a tremendous career and was an outstanding football player for us. And he's a great person. So I won't comment anything else about it. I know I can because he's a free agent and they've let him go. But other than that, there were some other things that we talked about but I like Gerald a lot.